And in Hong Kong, there is a type or a dialect of English used. Yeah. So the Hong Kong English isn't like a really complete dialect, but it's a bit adapted to different things. It has all the variety of the Cantonese grammar, the British influence, local expressions. So yeah, think of a localized remix of English, actually.
That sounds very interesting. Do you have some examples?
Yeah. So when it comes to grammar and syntax, for example, there's a lot of literal translation from Cantonese. So sentences often mirror the structure of Cantonese.
I see.
For example, people here say "you go first, la." Yeah, so you could find these particles in English sentences. And you can also see the structure, like in the example, "can help me to print." So there, the subject is missing, just because in common spoken Cantonese, there is no subject.
Interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes the articles and the prepositions are missing too. So you can hear someone say "go to airport" instead of "go to the airport," and it might be perfectly normal over there.
I see. Okay, that's very interesting. But if I'm gonna try and go there, I need to learn some of the words, some of the expressions there, not just syntax. Do you have maybe some expressions and idioms that I could use to impress some locals there?
Yeah, so I also have some examples here. There are actually some borrowed phrases unique to Hong Kong. For example, "add oil," which would mean something like "keep it up" or "you can do it."
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
Then there's an expression, "open rice," which means that you start eating.
Okay, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, you could kind of guess that one. And then there is an expression which is called "chop," and it stands for a stamp approval.
Ooh, I like that. I want to start using that. Chop.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that a lot. Chop.
So those can be a bit useful for you. And then there are a lot of British English hangovers too, actually. Like, for example, you would say "lorry" instead of truck.
Oh, lorry. No, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, me neither. Absolutely. But something like "queue up" instead of "line up."
Okay.
That's maybe a little more common. Or "flat" for apartment, "petrol" for gas, "rubbish" for trash.
I still use rubbish all the time, even though I have an American citizenship. I love the word rubbish. So I'm like, I get it. Rubbish is such a good word.
So probably you would feel at home in Hong Kong.
At least when I say the word rubbish. I don't know about the other side, but rubbish specifically, yes.
When it comes to rubbish, okay. Yeah, and then about the pronunciation. So there are some like differences too. For example, the consonant endings are sometimes dropped or softened. For example, when you say "food," it might sound like "foo." And you kind of gotta get the connection that you mean food. I mean, if you're there, you get used to it.
Yeah,
but
of course.
in the beginning, it can be a bit confusing. Then there is sometimes the R and L confusion. That's quite common for Cantonese speakers. So when you want to say "right," Cantonese speakers might say "light" instead, and then you also gotta kind of connect it from the context, which one is meant. And the syllable timing is a bit different. So English is a stressed timed language, while Cantonese is a syllable timed language, and this makes a difference because then if Cantonese people who also know Cantonese speak English, they might kind of mix it up a bit.
I see.
Yeah.
That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense.
So Hong Kong English has like a really rhythmic sound there. Yeah. And actually what's quite interesting too is that there's kind of a code switching between the languages.
I've heard of that name. I never fully understood what it meant. Could you
Yeah, it means that like the languages live alongside and people sometimes mid-sentence change the language.
It's awesome.
Because they use both languages anyway. And it can happen that someone says, for example, "that guy is very gang," and then like an English speaker would know what gang means.
Yeah.
So it's like powerful or cool in Cantonese. So yeah, they would just mix up those languages, and then that's what it means.
So I guess if you're going to Hong Kong, you better brush up at some of the Cantonese vocabulary, because even if you're trying to speak as much English, you will have some of them enter in, and it is worth it to learn a little bit of the language there, because if you're coming to Hong Kong, there are some very important celebrations that you can experience, and one of my favorites that I researched was the Lion Dance.
Ooh, tell me more about it.
So the Lion Dance is a traditional dance usually performed during Lunar New Year and other major festivals, and the main, at least like idea of it, is to chase away the evil and bring luck. But the method is what is very interesting. you do create a lion costume. And the two dancers, sit inside the lion. One is on the front that controls the head, and one of them controls the tail. And they kind of go in tandem, dancing and getting spirits away. This, as I said before, is a cultural blessing. So often you would not only see them during like big celebration, but also during very important periods. For example, the opening of a new business, to cleanse away the opening. And actually, there's a specific other ritual attached to it, where the lions eat and spit out their favorite food. And can you guess what their favorite food is?
For lions, probably meat.
No, it is, I mean, in real life, it might be that. But in this case, they love eating lettuce.
Oh.
Yes. The lettuce, or at least eating the lettuce, it's the symbol of fortune in these celebrations. They chew it up and then they spit it out to spread wealth across everybody that witnesses. And these lions aren't just any sort of lions or sort of costume. They have their own personality. In fact, there's like two types of lions. There's the northern lion and there's the southern lions. And like any sort of divide between northern and southern, there are differences within this little niche. Just like northern lions, technically, they have very shaggy manes and they are a lot more playful in the way that they act. If you really want to have the actual cleansing, a lot of people turn to the southern lions because southern lions are more fierce. They're more fierce, and their exaggerated expression are so powerful that sometimes they can scare off bad spirits a little bit more efficiently than the northern lions. You can see these little lions playing around, and technically you could play alongside them. But there is one rule that people should be aware of. You are allowed to touch the lion's head, but if you do it without the permission of the lion, that can be considered offensive to the spirit and can bring a lot of misfortune. So be careful out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And here we have the topic of spirits again.
Yes, sorry, I have to come back to spirits. I love learning about spirit stories. I think they're very fun.
There's actually one more fact about the lunar calendar. The 7th month in the lunar calendar is Ghost Month. This is when people who have passed away return to the living, and no really big decisions are made in that month. Otherwise, there could be some issues about it. So no weddings, not buying a house or something.
I see.
Also no swimming, so you don't drown. So
okay.
There are kind of some rules you should
a lot of them.
remember. And yeah, it's quite interesting because ghosts in Hong Kong are not always scary. They're just like ancestors that return home in that time. And the ritual just show also like deep Confucian respect for the lineage. And the line, like the very thin line between life and death, that is there sometimes. So in Chinese cosmology, you hear that very often.
I see.
And there's one more belief, one more curse that you should know during Ghost Month.
Okay.
You should not whistle during that time.
Good thing, because I don't know how to whistle anyway, so I'm safe on that side.
Well, that's something we have in common. I don't know it either. So we would not attract the spirits to come our way.
Okay, we're good on that side. Oh, I'm safe.
Yeah. And there's one more little rule, like when you go to the opera in that month, you should not sit in the first row because it's reserved for the spirits.
Okay, I can work with that.
Yeah. So, yeah. And if you find like some food in some alleyways, for example, during that month, then please don't touch it because it's meant to be for the ghost as well.
Okay. I mean, we're not gonna lie, if I saw food on the street like that, I would just, I'll leave it for them. Like, I wasn't planning of eating things anyway, so thank you for telling me.
That's true.
But maybe since, we've been through a lot of spiritualism, a lot of tourism,